Hi everyone, welcome to the Envelopes Emmy series. I'm Yvonne Villarreal, and today we're talking to John Lithgow, who pulled double duty on our screens this season on Netflix's The Crown, where he played British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and in the NBC comedy Trial and Error, where he played a roller skating poetry professor on trial for the murder of his wife. The former earned him his 12th career Emmy nomination. Thanks so much for joining us.
Delighted to be here, Yvonne.
So you get a call saying, hey, there's this role as Winston Churchill that they'd like you to do. First, what's your facial reaction to that?
Well, my reaction was like threefold. Very excited because of all the names that tumbled out of my agent's mouth, Winston Churchill, but also Stephen Daldry, a director I knew but had never worked with and always wanted to work with, Peter Morgan, who'd written it, and I'd seen both the Queen and the audience along the same lines. Claire Foy, who I did not know, but I'd seen her in a couple of wonderful things. And Netflix, all of these things, I was ready to say yes before he finished the paragraph.
Okay.
But the other two feelings were terror. It was Winston Churchill. I mean, like arguably the most familiar face and voice in the whole 20th century. And I would be playing it with an entire cast of Englishmen. And and English women, just great actors.
In England, was that like?
In England.
Yeah.
But confident too, because Daldry had asked for me. It was a thrilling prospect.
Talk to me, I know there's a thing you did with cotton balls.
Well, I wanted to swell my jowls because the biggest difference between me and Churchill is the shape of my face.
The shape of the face, yeah.
I got this bright idea. I have to say I thought of Marlon Brando as Don Corleone. I took a melon baller and I carved out little balls of apple. And this is back here in LA before I went in. I stuck them in my jowls and I practiced in front of a mirror. And when I went to England, I literally took a melon baller with me.
The melon ball in your suitcase?
Yeah. And we had these 10 days of rehearsal, which was nothing but sitting around a table. We didn't play the scenes at all. But at a certain point, I said, I want to talk about my voice. I took out the melon baller. You can ask Stephen Daldry this, our director. And I carved out little balls, and I stuck them in my jowls, and I spoke like this. And within about 40 seconds, my mouth was full of apple juice. But at least I'd made my point. But
I'm sad I didn't bring an apple here. Yes.
But then I met with Ivana Primorac, our makeup artist and designer, and she had been thinking about these things too. But she put me in touch with a man named Christopher Lyons, a name you've never heard before. But he is the English master tooth guy for actors. He does all of Tilda Swinton's teeth.
Oh, wow.
And he did Meryl Streep's Maggie Thatcher teeth.
Oh, wow.
This is his thing.
Okay.
And he constructed for me these two little blobs.
Oh, that you could insert?
Pink plastic or silicone blobs that clicked onto my back teeth. We called them my plumpers. And they not only changed my face, but it changed the way I spoke.
Wow.
You know, he had this extraordinary slushy voice. He had a lisp that comes from the back of his tongue rather than it wasn't lisp like this.
Yeah.
It was lisp like this. And the little plumpers only improved that. Now, I had watched a lot of Churchill talking, watched and listened. He had the most peculiar voice, and he was very self-conscious about it. He stuttered, and he had this lisp, and he also had very clogged up nasal passages. It was my idea to stuff cotton up my nose to swell the size of my nose, but also make me very nasal because he was very nasal. And he also had this very weird, something nobody knows about because they don't hear it, but he had this strange honk. I mean, he would speak for a while and then he would honk like that. Things that you wouldn't dare use.
Yes.
I mean, I did want it to be very natural and not a very extremely actorish performance. So I used some, but not all, of Churchill's actual mannerisms.
We had a lot of questions, asking if you would do a Third Rock from the Sun revival.
Well, it's kind of hard to imagine. We did talk about it in the last year, actually. I had some really wonderful and hilarious conversations with Bonnie and Terry Turner. They've stayed very, very good friends of mine. They're the husband and wife team who created the show. Yeah. I don't know. You'd have to reel in our big star, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He would probably love.
Make your plea.
I don't know. For one thing, it's a young man's game. I mean, I was 20 years younger. It's so wildly physical. That seems like you can't do Third Rock without that kind of high energy, and I'm not sure I can summon that anymore.
Really?
No.
I think you could. Never say never.
Make me an offer. I'm just an actor.
Make me an offer. It all comes down to that, right?
We were a great gang. Actually, I got to work with French Stewart. He did a wonderful look in on Trial and Error, playing a witness coach. Yeah. He was coaching me in the witness box. It was funny. One of the funniest scenes of the whole series.
What do you remember about that period in your life?
Third Rock?
Yeah.
It was great. It was 6 great years. It has extended my life, for sure. I do believe laughter keeps you young. And it was just great. It was the last 6 years my kids were in secondary school. So I was living at home. It was like banker's hours, 10 to 4 every day. I mean, this is the kind of thing that actors think about. The whole show was shot in one evening between 7 and 10:30 p.m. You were just like the rocket fuel of audience response. It was like putting on a play once a week. Incredibly creative energy, just the connection with the writers. Everything was fast, not a moment to lose. Pitching comedy all the time. It was just great. And then we would have a week off every 2 or 3 weeks so the writers could breathlessly catch up with us. It was a great time.
We're going to ask you a series of lightning round questions.
Oh, gosh.
So prepare your mind,
All
body,
right.
and soul. Last show you binge watched?
Handmaid's Tale.
This is everyone's answer. I love it.
Yeah, that was great.
You liked it a lot?
No, I did not like it. But
good acting.
I thought it was brilliant, though,
Yes.
and everybody in it.
If you could go back and be on any classic show, what would it be?
Any classic show? Your Show of Shows from the early 1950s.
Okay.
I would have loved to have been in that gang.
Nice.
In fact, I felt like I was when I did Third Rock.
Oh, nice. What do you think Churchill would think about the current state of politics?
Oh, he would be in a rage. Yeah, he would not be happy.
Not into people in power tweeting all night?
No. He would not be happy with tweeting altogether.
Altogether.
Although he might have made awfully good use of it, now that I think of it.
What is your favorite comedic character you have played?
Oh, Dick Solomon.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
You know, I was never going to do an episodic TV show at all. But when Bonnie and Terry pitched this to me, I suddenly realized they've created the thing I disliked about the idea of doing a sitcom was that that's all you would be able to do. Yeah. People would only think of you that way, the way Carol O'Connor could never escape Archie Bunker. As great a character actor as he was. Well, Dick Solomon was not just Dick Solomon. He was a man trying to figure out what kind of a human being he was. So it allowed me to just act and act and act and act. In fact, there was yet another Dick Solomon. There's episodes where there were two diametrically opposite Dick Solomons. There was an episode where my body was inhabited by Kristen Johnston. You know, obviously anything could go. I could sing Gershwin songs. I could dance like Gene Kelly in Singing in the Rain. I could dance like Michael Flatley from Riverdance. You know, it was just, I could do anything. It was like being, as I say, it was like being on your show of shows or Saturday Night Live, where it's like almost a sketch comedy, except it had great storytelling. In fact, Bonnie and Terry were writers on the staff of SNL in the 1980s when I hosted it.
Wow.
2 of the 3 times I hosted it, and that's when it all started.
See, you need to bring it back. You're like, you need to convince yourself.
I don't know. Ask all the old guys who were on SNL whether they wanted to come back and do it again.
True. Have you ever been mistaken for another celebrity? If so, what happened?
Well, yes, mainly John Cleese, Kelsey Grammer, Anthony Hopkins. I would say those 3. But that's a nice wide variety. And I always thank them very graciously and sign somebody else's autograph. Why make it complicated?
Yeah, why make it? That's a nice trick. I like that.